Hi, everybody. I welcome you all for the Advanced Computational Techniques course. Myself, Dr. C. Siva, from the Department of Physics and Nanotechnology, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. Here we will be actually discussing the topic on molecular computing, which is the second module of this course, molecular computing. We'll see the lecture 1 and lecture 2 together here. We'll look at how molecules can be used to transfer electronics from switching elements and eventually act as computing units. They are actually switching elements and they eventually act as computing units at a nanoscale. Electron transfer in molecular structures. Electron transfer in molecular structures. When molecules are placed between metal electrodes, electrons can transfer from one side to another side. This electron transfer creates current flow even though no chemical bonds are broken or formed. Electron transfer occurs in natural systems such as photosynthesis. So, understanding molecular structure helps us understand how electrons move. Studying how electrons travel through molecular layers is important because these mechanisms can be used in nanoscale devices and research tools. Molecular junctions, okay, how they form. A molecular junction refers to a group of molecules positioned between two electrodes, allowing electrons to pass through them. A common way to form a single molecular junction is a common way to form a single molecular junction is the break junction method. A common way to form a single molecular junction is the break junction method, where a metal wire is stretched until it breaks at a weak point, while molecules attach between the separated ends. In this, a metal wire is stretched until it breaks at a weak point. While the molecules attach between the separated ends, the electrodes have continuous energy bands. The electrodes have continuous energy bands, but the molecule in the middle has discrete energy bands. The electrodes, which are actually having the continuous energy bands, where the middle has discrete energy bands. This structure makes electron transport different from bulk materials. Why molecular computing is interesting? The idea of using molecules for computation dates back to 1940s. Traditional computers require extremely large number of electrons to process even simple operations. Biomolecules, however, offer natural parallelism. Many processes can occur at the same time. They exist abundantly in nature. They operate reliably inside living cells and they have evolved mechanisms for communication and high energy efficiency. A human brain around a human brain has around a trillion neurons, and the human body has over quadrillion cells, each with complete genetic information packed into microscopic structure. So molecular computing offers extreme miniaturization and massive parallelism. Challenges which are actually there using molecules. First, hardware is actually inherently parallel. The idea of improving the efficiency of the hardware utilization by using the biomolecules is actually attractive for several reasons. Firstly, hardware is inherently parallel. parallelism is a good way to handle computational bottlenecks. Secondly, biomolecules occur abundantly in nature. For example, inside all known living cells with and without nuclei and constitute the ballistic substratum of life. Consequently, they have developed a structure which enable them to solve number of difficulties for parallel computing, such as massive communication over noisy media and load balancing problems by mechanism that we may not be even be aware of. Furthermore, biomolecules can now be synthesized at low cost also. Thirdly, their physical implementation is therefore relatively simple compared to the demanding and costly fabrication process used in VLSI. Consider the following figures in terms of shear space, not to mention the performance. A human brain consists of about 10 to the power 12 neurons, 10 to the power 12 neurons, and the human body comprises of 10 to the power 15 cells. Each cell contains a copy of the entire genetic code consisting of over 3 billion nucleotide pairs to perform living functions. All that nuclei packed in a few double helices, which are actually about 3.4 nanometer. It is not a millimeter, it's a 3.4 nanometer wide and a few microns long. Therefore, computing based on molecular media would really tip the scales in terms of miniaturization. However, using molecules for computation also brings challenges. Molecules obey chemical and physical laws. Molecules they obey chemical and physical laws and not they are not naturally designed for human defined computation. In 1974, Abiram and Abiram from IBM and Mark Ratner of Northwestern University, they have proposed that organic molecules could act like transistors by tuning their atomic structures. This concept stayed theoretical until recent advances in chemistry and nanofabrications so positive results. Groups have shown that clusters of thousands of molecules can carry electrons and act like on and off states for about 10 minutes, which makes them candidate for memory elements. Okay. Molecular switching and conductivity. Molecular switching operates through oxidation reduction reactions, where electrons rearrange within the molecule. The molecule twist, blocking electron flow like a kinked house. In the on state, the molecule can conduct up to 1,000 times more than in the off state. Although this ratio is lower than the semiconductor transistors, researchers are searching for molecules with a better switching performance and studying the mechanisms in much more details. Molecular electronics versus organic electronics. Let's see here. Molecular electronics mainly uses individual molecules bonded covalently and isolated from bulk materials. These molecules can act as wires and switches at nanoscales. This is sometimes called this is actually sometimes called intramolecular electronics. This is different from organic electronics which use bulk organic materials where electrons move like in a semiconductor devices. Types of molecular switching devices. There are four main types of molecular switching devices. Electric field controlled molecular switching devices, electromechanical based, photoactive based, or photochromic based, then electrochemical switches based. The first one, electric field controlled switches, which includes quantum effect devices, completely electrical based. The second one, electromechanical, changing like conformation or position to turn the current on and off. Any change in the mechanism, like mechanical changes in terms of size or morphology, anything, okay, any changes in the say size and the shape, okay, which will actually work then, okay, in terms of electromechanical switches. Photoactive switches, which uses the light to change structure or electron configuration. Using light to change structure or electron configuration. Electrochemical switches, which is using the chemical reactions to change conductivity. Yeah, among all these things, which are actually suitable for the nanocomputers, which we need to actually see. Let's see here. The first two categories, electric field controlled and electromechanical field switches, are the most aligned with the microelectronics and could be densely integrated. Photoactive devices are difficult to address individually because light cannot confined below its wavelength. So penetration depth on a solid device will be the problem. Electrochemical switches require solvents, making them impractical for integrated logics. Therefore, the field controlled molecular switches are the strongest candidates for nanocomputing. Field controlled molecular switches are the strongest candidate for the nanocomputing. Origin of molecular computing. Molecular computing draws ideas from biology inspired computing, just like neural networks and evolutionary algorithms. Early approaches tried to mimic electronic logic in molecular form. A major breakthrough came in 1994 when Edelman used DNA molecules to solve Hamiltonian path problem. Edelman is the person who had actually solved the Hamiltonian path problem, which is very uh, common but high priority problem, which is an NP algorithm, NP problem, okay? NP class problem, which is a difficult one also. Okay? He had actually solved this problem with the DNA molecules. His experiments showed that molecules can perform computational tasks and that DNA-based computing may solve problems too large for conventional machines. After Edelman's breakthrough, Edelman work demonstrated two important things. Molecules can be directly utilized to compute and DNA has huge computational potential. They have a very like molecules can be actually directed to compute. Okay, DNA have huge power in terms of computation. This led to the first DNA computing conference in 1995, and since then many developments have been followed exploring molecular parallelism and nanoscale information processing. Thank you, students. In this lecture, we had seen about the introduction of the molecular computing with a few examples like DNA, DNA computing, how it is actually been evolved, and different types of molecular switching we have discussed. We'll see the other topic in the next classes. Thank you, students.